We come to this place for magic.
For magic.
We come to Poor Unfortunate Podcast to laugh, to cry, to care. Because we need that, all of us. That indescribable feeling when the Disney logo sounds begin to play. And we go somewhere we've never been before. Not just entertained, but somehow reborn. Together. Beautiful sound in your earphones. Sound that you can feel.
Wait,
somehow.
You turned into a Long Island woman in your earphones.
In your earphones.
You know, heartbreak, it feels good in a place like this.
But on the whole, I've been a saint to those poor unfortunate souls.
Hello there, Happy New Year, and welcome to a brand new episode of Poor Unfortunate Podcast. I'm Caroline Amedi.
And I'm Connor Perkins. Welcome to all of our returning listeners. It's great having you back here with us. And welcome to any new listeners. Thank you so much for hitting play. Please also remember to hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast so all of our episodes download to your device and you don't miss out on anything. And then everybody, as I always say, when we get to the end of the episode, or now, whichever you prefer, you're going to tap 5 stars and leave a written review wherever you're listening to the podcast. That way other people see what you've wrote and might hit play. We're seen in search results, all that good stuff. It's the single best way you can help grow the podcast with us. So thank you very much for taking the couple seconds that it'll take to do that at the end, now, in the middle, whenever you feel so inclined. Caroline, what's new?
We're back. We're back.
Yeah, no.
You're so deadpan. I can't with you.
What?
We're back. What's new?
I just feel bad. I feel bad because we were back and then we kind of weren't because I was back in Chicago and it was just sort of blah. But
no, this is good.
Back.
I feel like the first couple of weeks of January are kind of a wash for everybody. So now we're really back. Okay. Let's start with some movie news. So 3 Pixar films are coming to movie theaters for the first time because they debuted on Disney+. So Soul already debuted January 12th. Turning Red will be arriving February 9th and Luca on March 22nd. So if you're looking to experience those films on the big screen, now is your moment.
I love those. I'm really glad that they're doing that because so many of those they were considering flops but it was how do you measure it? How do you measure anything anymore on what's a flop and what's not? Because movie going has just changed fundamentally. It's weird.
It's true.
But I'm excited to see these movies in theaters. I really want to see Turning Red. I freaking love
that would
Turning
be
Red.
Fun. Yeah, the concert would be so much fun on a big screen. And then on the sad side of things, Glynis Johns passed away on January 4th. And she, for those of you Disney fans, is best known as Winifred Banks in Mary Poppins, but had a huge, expansive, incredible career in theater as well. And she's just an icon and a legend, and she will be very, very missed.
Yeah.
Before I move into parks news, Condor, what else do you have movie-wise?
Movie-wise, I don't remember if I said this, but if I have, sorry, I'm repeating it. They announced that we're going to be having Frozen 3, 4, and 5 now. So it seems like as a sort of gut reaction to everything that's been happening in the world of movies and with Disney Plus and all of that stuff, the Disney company is sort of going back to their tried and true method of let's find what works and do it into the ground until everyone is tired of it. So that's what we're doing. We also got some more teaser images of the new emotions from Inside Out 2, which is coming this summer. So
I can't wait.
I'm very excited for that. And then on the Disney Plus side of things, we have Echo, the new Marvel series that's happening right now. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, that came out starting in December, has been freaking amazing. Super faithful to the book. Like, it's the adaptation that everyone has been waiting for of Percy Jackson.
Yes.
So we're super happy about that. New episodes of Bluey have dropped on Disney Plus. Very important for folks. We've got our new episodes of Bluey, but also by the time you're hearing this, if you're one of the people who watch Bluey or have your kids watch Bluey, you already know this, so whatever. And then the other big thing that happened with Disney Plus that we haven't mentioned yet is that they started their beta integration with Hulu. Some members in the US will see Hulu pop up as one of the like tab options at the top of Disney Plus in the header, because Disney has finished fully acquiring Hulu from Comcast. So yeah.
Oh, and also now Connor and I have both seen Wish. So we definitely need to discuss that in depth. So I don't know in what format we'll do that exactly, but just stay tuned because we have a lot of things
that's
to
gonna
say.
happen.
Yeah.
But Wish is going to be released digitally on January 23rd for purchase.
Right, for purchase. Right. Okay,
for purchase. Okay. As for Disney Plus, I think we're most likely to see it towards the end of February, March, because Disney is changing their release window for theatrical releases into Disney Plus, because it used to be about 30 days and now they're bumping it up to like 62 to just sort of like shake things up, to try, I think, drive people back to seeing movies in theaters, because they're like, if you don't see it in theaters, you're going to have to wait longer before you can have access to it on Disney Plus. So I think it's a smarter effort to help retrain people to going back to the movies.
Yeah. I'm glad that I saw Wish in the theaters. Like, I'm really glad that I did. Yeah.
I am too. And I think Wish will find success once it's on Disney Plus. I think it just sort of like ran into an unfortunate thing of being that movie when Disney is trying to change the way that people see movies back from the habits that they've acquired during the pandemic. So we'll see what happens with Wish once it hits streaming. But I have a feeling that it'll be pretty popular.
I think so too. I think kids are going to really latch onto it once it starts playing at home.
Yeah, I just think not enough people saw it to give it the time of day.
To counteract the very early like negative opinion that was forming on social media. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and so people were like, "Oh, I'll just wait until it comes to Disney Plus," and so they never ended up going.
Okay, let's hop over to the parks. There's some things going on. So again, it's been a minute. We've been here and there with you. So some of this is a little bit older news, but we haven't really had a chance to cover it. So over the past month and a half, 2 months or so, we've had 2 new Disney Springs restaurants open at the Walt Disney World Resort. And that is Eat by Manit Chauhan. So that's a quick service restaurant, and Summer House on the Lake, which is table service, but also has this like little to-go cookie counter as well.
Looks so good.
It looks so good. So now we have another cookie in the game at Disney Springs. So I'm interested to try that.
I'm sure Gideon's will be grateful for that.
Yeah. And everyone who has waited on that line.
Yeah.
I mean, big news. As of January 9th, no more park reservations are needed for Walt Disney World, and you can park hop whenever you want. It's so funny. Like, we've been waiting for this day for so long, but then like, I don't know. I guess I feel like delayed on news and things because of the strike and things like that. So I feel like it wasn't like, I don't know. It kind of passed by and happened, but we've been waiting for it for so long. So what a big change. That's incredible. Rock and Roller Coaster closed on January 8th for refurb until the summer. And at first, when they announced the closure, I think people were kind of like chattering about if there was going to be a big change. It is confirmed. It is just for refurb. But it's a pretty extensive one. So that will not be back open till the summer. Same goes for the Country Bear Jamboree, which will be closing on January 27th until later this summer for a big refurb. New show, new songs, new costumes, and it will be called the Country Bear Musical Jamboree. So
I'm really excited for this. I know there are a lot of people who are like, no. And I'm like, it's time. Listen, when I'm going to see the Country Bears and I am hearing the clicking of the moose's eyeballs
but that's part
more
of
than
appeal.
the sound. No, for sure. But I'm like, listen, we'll always have Tears Will Be the Chaser for our wine, Blood on the
thank God.
Saddle. We'll
Thank
have
God.
the Guys That Turn Me On, Turn Me Down. Like, we'll have those. This is one of those things where it's like, y'all, let's not die on this hill. The Country Bears are awesome. They could just as easily fucking remove the Country Bears, and instead they're double downing on the Country Bears and saying, we are not only going to refurb it, we are also going to give them a new show. Like, that is a really, really good thing. So, like, let's not rock the boat too hard, because then they'll just fucking get rid of it.
Yeah, please don't take away the Bears.
To go anywhere.
I know. I agree with you. We're also getting a reworked Voyage of the Little Mermaid, and it won't be called Voyage of the Little Mermaid anymore.
No.
I am excited. I saw some of the concept art. Yes.
The concept art looks good, and I just hope that they keep the laser water effects from the beginning of the show that like take you underwater, because that was single-handedly my favorite part and like the reason why I would go see that show.
I loved that too. I hope that they also, I'm sure they will. I hope they also just give the theater and the space a little refresh, because I remember the last time I was there, it was looking just like dated and beat down, and
it looked like a shitty old movie theater.
It really did.
let's just say it.
It
looked like a shitty old movie theater.
Oh, please, for a little freshen up. Thank you so much. And finally, just to jump over to Disneyland quickly, the Haunted Mansion and Gardens expansion that is happening there has begun. So the construction walls have gone up. So if you didn't know, there's going to be a new expanded outdoor queue that will take us through themed gardens modeled after iconic happy haunts like Madame Leota, Master Gracie, etc., a greenhouse, a water fountain, all those new things. There will be a new gift shop added to the ride's exit, and that will be themed as Madame Leota's carriage house. I'm super into that. And just the plaza in that area between there and Tiana's Palace is going to become allegedly much more elegant. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So that is underway, but we do not have a date for when that construction is going to be completed, but it has begun.
One other thing that I'll add is in Disneyland Paris, they debuted the Main Street Electrical Sky Parade.
Oh my God.
Is the new like drone show parade
Those
that happens. And
drones.
it's freaking amazing. And I cannot wait for drone shows to make their way to the States, because I just think they're freaking amazing. And it gives me the vibes of like what I loved about Wishes so much is that it didn't matter where you were in the park. As long as you could hear it and look up, you could see it. And so like the whole hub violence that happens like didn't really happen as much, because you could watch
you just triggered me, and you triggered me bad.
Sorry. Well, I mean, like you could just like watch it anywhere. And so like that's one of the things that's frustrating me with like the projections heaviness is
not
hub violence. Is that gonna be a t-shirt? I'm here for the hub violence.
I stand against hub violence.
Oh, great. That might be the t-shirt of the year.
Violence.
Victim of hub violence. But no, I think drone shows are the way to go over projections. Like, yes, we can have projections, but I feel like right now projections are like the new heavy thing, or it's like the thing that we're like double downing on the whole time. And drones, I think, are the much better version, both for the environment and also for the ability that more people can see it regardless of where you are. You don't have to view it from a particular angle every single time. So it can space you out.
Yeah. Disneyland Paris is the first place I ever saw castle projections. So they're just like, that's great. Because now I'm like, we're going to get the drones. It might be a little bit, but we'll get them.
I've heard some patents have been filed in the States by Disney for some drone activity. So I'm hoping that we'll see more of it. But it's just like the stuff that is happening overseas, that is paving the way for the things that we will ultimately get here in the States. So it's important to pay attention to the really, really cool shit that they have going on, because it tends to be a lot cooler than the stuff that we have happening.
Yeah.
That it?
That's it.
Cool.
That was a good amount. Let's get into the episode.
Let's do it.
Tell us, Connor, what are we doing?
All right, so we're back with a Showdown episode. So this is where we take two things that are similar, put them up against each other, and see which ones come out on top. And, you know, when we were thinking about this, we were trying to think about some of the things that we enjoyed doing and some of the things that you all seem to enjoy doing. So one of those was our episode where we pitted two princesses against each other. So we're doing that again. And we let you all vote on this. And you chose for us to do Ariel versus Moana.
Yeah, y'all did not make it easy. Ooh.
No, so thank you for that. But basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to go through their Dream Big Princess character traits. Each princess was assigned 3 character traits, and we're going to analyze how well they display those traits, how poorly they might when it goes against the grain, when it's happening. We're going to take a look at their design, and then we're going to talk about how they are role models, how much they encourage us overall. So before we go into this, there will be spoilers if you have not seen The Little Mermaid or Moana. Hopefully you have if you're listening to this podcast. But if not, now is the time to go watch those movies on Disney Plus, and we will pause and wait for you to come back. And welcome back. Little Mermaid and Moana. We're only talking about animated versions here. We're not doing live action because Moana doesn't have a live action yet. So let's dive into it. We're going to start with some background information, which is what we always do. Caroline, do you want to kick us off because you have Little Mermaid?
I will. Let's do this. So The Little Mermaid premiered on November 17th, 1989. It is written and directed by John Musker and Ron Clements, and it is based on The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, and it is produced by Howard Ashman and John Musker, with music by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. The budget was $40 million, and the box office to date is $235 million. So
that's a good investment.
Yeah, a fair success, I would say. The movie stars Jodie Benson as Ariel, Pat Carroll as Ursula, Christopher Daniel Barnes as Prince Eric, Samuel E. Wright as Sebastian, Kenneth Mars as King Triton, Jason Marin as Flounder, Buddy Hackett as Scuttle, and more. The film won 2 Oscars for Best Original Score and Best Original Song for Under the Sea. As we all know by now, the film heralded the Disney Renaissance with a return to feature-length animated musical fairy tales and really paved the way for the Disney movie musicals that we know and love today. The film has a 7.6 on IMDb.
Rude.
And that's rude.
But Moana has the same, so.
Oh, what? Okay, people
just
haters. Don't like women. People don't like women. Yep. And it has an 88% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
I love that that's where our brain goes. Where something we don't, they just don't like women.
And just a quick little short background information on the development of the film. So Walt Disney himself had started developing an adaptation of the story of The Little Mermaid in the early 40s as part of a group of adaptations of Hans Christian Andersen tales that he had planned. It sounds like the development got as far as a script and a storyboard with visual development by Kay Nielsen, but was shelved in favor of other films like Bambi and Dumbo. In 1985, Ron Clements saw The Little Mermaid in a bookstore and had his 2-page treatment approved by Jeffrey Katzenberg. As Clements and Musker developed the script, Howard Ashman joined the project in 1989, and he became the catalyst for the film being built around a Broadway-style structure with musical numbers occurring at major points in the plot and developing the inner worlds of the characters. And finally, the basics. What do we know about Ariel? She's a 16-year-old mermaid, the youngest daughter of Triton, king of Atlantica. Her mother has died, and Ariel spends her days exploring shipwrecks and gathering knowledge and items from the human world. She is gifted with a beautiful singing voice. So, in case you didn't know, those are the basics.
Now you know.
Now you know.
I'll talk you through some stuff about Moana real quick. So Moana premiered November 14th, 2016 at AFI Fest, and then was released in the U.S. on November 23rd, 2016. I was there on opening day. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, you were.
The producer was Osnat Shur. It was directed by John Musker and Ron Clements. So that's another thing that these two movies have in common.
These two movies, it's so interesting. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It is. We'll get there.
It's very interesting. The screenplay is by Jared Bush. The story is by John Musker, Ron Clements, Chris Williams, Don Hall, Pamela Ryben, Aaron Candell, and Jordan Candell. Original songs are by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Mark Mancina, and Opataya Foai. And the score is by Mark Mancina. It stars Oli Carvalho as Moana, Dwayne Johnson as Maui, Rachel House as Grandma Tala, Tamora Morrison as Chief Tui, Jermaine Clement as Tamatoa, Nicole Scherzinger as Sina, and Alan Tudyk as Hey Hey. The budget was between $150 and $175 million, and the box office was $682.2 million. It was nominated for 2 Golden Globes and 2 Academy Awards, both Best Animated Feature, it lost to Zootopia, and Best Original Song, How Far I'll Go, lost to City of Stars from La La Land. In both award shows, it lost to the exact same things. I mean, yeah. Ali Carvalho, she tied with Jason Bateman as Nick Wilde for an Annie Award for Outstanding Achievement in Voice Acting for an Animated Feature. So I think that was really, really cool to see the two of them tie for that award. That was great. It has a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb because, again, people hate women. But it is 95% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with an 89% audience score. And that's what we're looking for. It was overwhelmingly well received with praise to the story, music, animation, and having a fully 3-dimensional character in Moana. Variety called the film a, quote, return to the heights of the Disney Renaissance, end quote. And a little bit of plot synopsis for Moana that I took from IMDb and some other places and sort of zhuzhed up a little bit.
Lovely.
Moana is a sea voyaging enthusiast and the only daughter of a chief in a long line of navigators. Her people have given up voyaging for the safety and protection of their island, Motunui. When her island's fishermen can't catch any fish and the crops fail, she learns that the demigod Maui caused the blight by stealing the heart of the goddess Te Fiti. The only way to heal the island is to journey beyond the reef and persuade Maui to return Te Fiti's heart. Moana sets off in her canoe on a voyage to save her people and find that which she has always sought, her own identity. And so that's Moana.
Love that.
I really loved these movies, and I really loved that we had an opportunity to watch both of them.
I agree with you. I had such a good time.
And I also think that they really showcase Musker and Clements at the height of their work.
Agree. It's so interesting that it's the two of them. Yeah.
I totally see when people are like, it's a return to the Renaissance, like the peaks of the Renaissance. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you had the people who did The Little Mermaid applying this directly to Moana. And
yeah. And I love that we started with the girl from the ocean who wants to get to land. And now we have the girl on land who wants to get into the ocean.
Bitch, yes.
I love it.
All right. Let's do this. Let's
okay. I'm dreading this a little bit. It's gonna be hard.
I am too. Because I love both of these princesses.
I know, I do too.
So we're going to go through the different characteristics for each princess first. And I do want to preface this by saying, we'll start with Ariel because she comes first. And I do want to preface, we're not going to discuss Ariel as just, we're not going to be dismissive of the way that we discuss Ariel, in which I feel like has become kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there are a lot of people who are like, oh my God, Ariel just wants a man and everything like that. And I feel like that's very reductive to the character. And so we're not going to be talking that way.
Agreed. I also would like to say, before I introduce Ariel's 3 words, I don't know. When we did Aurora versus Snow White, I feel like, their words fit them. Whereas with both Ariel and Moana, I don't know. So I guess it's because I just love these two princesses so much. I'm like, these don't fully capture like the breadth of like who these two are. So I don't know. Do these 3 words fit Ariel? Yeah, but they don't make me feel a lot, I guess, when I think of her and them. And The Little Mermaid changed the game for Disney because of its music, the visuals, the story. But I think Ariel herself is very much responsible for the place the film has cemented itself in so many people's hearts. And this is the last thing we'll say about the live action, but that's why what Halle Bailey did with the role was so precious and moving, because Ariel means so much to people and to cinema at large. So I don't think these words can fully capture that or specifically conjure her up versus some of the other princesses. Her appeal for me is a little bit hard to put into words because it's very emotional. But then again, I guess that leads into why one of her words does fit. So her 3 words are curious, charismatic, and tenacious. And I guess charismatic sort of captures that intangible feeling I might be talking about. But I just had to put that out there before we begin.
Yeah, I have a feeling like when they were assigning the 3 characteristics to each dream big princess, I feel like what they were finding with Ariel is that she is a character in which she has so much that by the time they got to her, they were using some of the character traits for other princesses who just show it a little bit better, or
Yeah.
because Ariel has so much to her.
Yeah.
And so what we got was sort of like, I don't want to say scraps, but like what we got were sort of the only things that maybe aren't as prevalent in some of the other characters.
That makes sense to me. I agree. All right, let's start with curious. So curious, marked by a desire to investigate and learn. So to start out, Ariel has made the thing that she is curious about, humans and the human world, basically her entire personality. And honestly, I respect it. She doesn't have just a passive desire to investigate and learn. For her, it's more like a need. And I think this high stakes desire, this high stakes curiosity is what makes her so special. Ariel seeks not only to learn independently through her explorations of shipwrecks and through her grotto collection, but she seeks out the closest thing she can find to a teacher in Scuttle, basically creating her own schooling system. She isn't just nosy about the human world. She's genuinely looking to learn. Her grotto isn't only filled with attractive items, but with books as well. She's ready to educate herself, not just wonder, and she never stops. Somebody's got to nail that girl's fins to the floor, says Sebastian. And then when Ariel becomes a human, it would be easy for her to spend most of her time like mooning around, trying to get Eric's attention, but she is equally eager to explore the human world as she is to spend time with him. She's taken in horses, chickens, a puppet show, shopping. She's trying her hand at dancing. She's trying driving a carriage. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I think a lot of us would be distracted by being in such close proximity to our crushes in this situation. And she is curious even with her awareness of the kiss and kind of her whole life being at stake. Ariel means a lot to me, so I'm trying my best to be objective and look at ways in which she doesn't fulfill her characteristics too. You could argue that when it comes to knowing more about Eric as a person, she isn't super curious. Hence the need to flesh out the connection between Ariel and Eric in the live-action remake. Her 10 minutes of observation of him on his ship is enough to convince her that she loves him without much curiosity about his full personality, his worldviews, other important things like that when it comes to choosing a partner. So when people wanna start hating on her, sure, if you want to go the route of like, you've only known this man for 10 minutes, sure. But a lot of other princesses have that problem as well. So don't come for Ariel on that. Like, just relax. Relax.
Yeah. Because like at the same time, we can't take it out of the context of this is a family entertainment film that lasts around 60 to 75 minutes.
This movie goes by so fast. It moves.
So I'm like, we can't focus in so much on like, they don't know each other. They've only known each other for like X amount of time. And it's like, well, yeah, that's how much time you get in a 75-minute film.
Yes.
I hate that argument that people make. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So I'm, curiosity, it's an interesting character trait because, I suppose like anything, it can be very easily something that's good, or something that's bad. And so in the case of Ariel, we see her curiosity around the human world, and that's the cornerstone of who she is. Like you said, like, remember, she sings part of your world about her curiosity and fascination with humans before she even knows that Eric exists. And I think that's really important for people to remember. This curiosity is one that leads to some great things. Her collection of human stuff, a concern at the fireworks that puts her in a position to help save Eric, falling in love. But then at the same time, Ariel doesn't always use restraint on her curiosity. And I think that's where this particular trait is a little like yeesh. Like, she's curious about the shipwreck and almost gets herself and her best friend eaten by a shark. She's curious about Flotsam and Jetsam's proposition about Ursula, and then that leads her to make a deal with the Sea Witch. So more often than not, I find her curiosity starts from a really good place, and then it becomes trouble for her when she doesn't stop pursuing it, she doesn't question it, or mix in equal parts common sense to temper it a little bit. So, and I mean, I'll also say, as the seventh daughter of King Triton and not the heir apparent to the throne, she's also probably suffering from a lack of expectations that meet her needs. Things that, like, she's craving something to challenge her. And when people are unchallenged, they seek things out elsewhere on their own. So in a way, I don't think it's fully her fault that her curiosity runs so rampant, and that she can also simply, like, afford to be curious because of a lack of clear responsibilities that she has in the kingdom. Like, basically, all we know is that she has to show up to a concert on time, and that's not enough to keep her interest. So, of course, her curiosity isn't going to have taut restraint because there's no real consequence for her not. As sort of like in the context of the film is, she meets the most drastic consequences of having too much curiosity.
Oh, I like that you framed it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the biggest win of her curiosity with the human world is that it actually leads to bridging the gap between the human and mer worlds. Like, in effect, she basically curiosities herself into diplomacy and matters of state. And this is where we can see, like, if she actually had challenges, like if she had responsibilities, she was challenged, imagine what she would be able to do on purpose, because that was an accident.
Yeah.
And, like, good on her for making something happen for herself. Counterpoint here, though, this is a total accident. Most of Ariel's curiosity is motivated by her personal wants and desires and not a more altruistic desire that helps benefit the entire kingdom. And again, part of this can come from being the youngest of 7 children with no clear responsibilities, or even a notion of having to fend for herself, like strike out against the grain as someone different. So, like, while, yeah, she did get a huge achievement in diplomacy through her curiosity, it was a full-ass accident. Like, let's be real. So I think curiosity is a really, really great character trait, and I do think it, out of all the princesses, like, if we don't have Alice in the princesses, Ariel is a great character to have for curiosity. The trap of it is her curiosity, she's maybe not the best example of curiosity because we don't get to see her stop her curiosity or temper it or
wielding it in the most effective way.
Yeah, or like let her curiosity be influenced by her surroundings and common sense so that she can be curious up to a point. I don't know. It's complicated. Curiosity is complicated with her. And as a trait itself, it's very complicated because you want to be curious, but then curiosity killed the cat. And it's like in order for us to understand when curiosity is a good thing, we have to see it as a bad thing. And the people who best show it to us, that means that they have to experience the bad thing. So unfortunately, Ariel has to experience the bad thing for her to be a good example of curiosity.
Yeah, I think this is the characteristic that trips her up the most.
Yes. I think this in combination with her tenacity. Which we'll talk about that in a second.
Whereas her next trait, charismatic, I think this is the one that she uses to the greatest effect. So
yes,
Charismatic means exercising a compelling charm which inspires devotion in others. So first of all, Ariel's charisma has everyone under the sea, her friends, her father, the kingdom, wrapped around her finger. First of all, she is like the pop star of Atlantica. She is not only royal, but she is the lead singer of the kingdom's biggest singing group. Mer people pack theaters to see her perform. Like, it's about
and
her.
all of her sisters have to introduce her. They're like, oh my
they're
God.
the
They're like,
backup. Yeah.
I know.
She's everything. And they're
I
just
kind of feel bad
the
for
Mer
the sisters.
yeah. Triton and Sebastian in particular are both pretty tough cookies and rule followers, and Ariel's charisma softens both of them. Not only does Sebastian commit himself to helping her make her dream come true, despite it being forbidden by his king and his boss, but we see him become so emotionally affected by Ariel. His "you are hopeless, child" is so
I have the same thing.
It's so full of tenderness, and I feel like it really reflects what we're feeling about Ariel too. And Ariel really has everyone out here shedding tears for her, from Flounder to Sebastian to her father. Everyone is just like, she brings up so much emotion in everybody that she meets.
She makes a fish cry.
Yeah,
she makes a fish cry.
Yes, she does. And she makes us cry too. We as an audience are just so drawn to her. She wears her heart on her sleeve, and that immediately just makes us fall in love with her. She starts crying after Triton admonishes her, even before he destroys the grotto. It's clear that she is very sensitive. And though we do get some throw yourself on the bed tears from the princesses before her, Ariel's are much more realistic. Because they aren't as dramatic, we're able to feel close to Ariel and recall times when we have felt like that. And just like that, we're on her side and attached to the outcome of her story. Ariel sings the first real Princess I Want song and lays her desires completely bare for us as an audience. And she just feels very real. And a lot of this has to do with the way she's animated, when she shrugs or blows her bangs out of her face, or is suddenly embarrassed when she finally realizes that forks aren't for brushing your hair. The veil of elegance that the original 3 Disney princesses had vanishes. We get to see Ariel goof up, and it's so charming because she constantly makes mistakes, literally and figuratively falling over her own feet at times, and she just gets up and is right back at it again. Her charisma is also the biggest threat to the villain of her story. Ursula thinks that she has made things impossible for Ariel by taking away her voice, but Ariel is still charismatic enough to make Eric basically fall in love with her anew, since he doesn't realize she is the one who saved him from drowning. She's a total stranger to him, and over the course of a day and a half, 2 days, he is beginning to consider giving up his search for the mystery girl and marrying Ariel without her saying a word. And Ursula is not one to admit defeat or show weakness, and she says, "The little tramp, she's better than I thought. At this rate, he'll be kissing her by sunset for sure." She is really, really threatened by her. And like I was just saying, it makes Eric fall in love with her all over again. Grimsby calls Ariel warm, and we see Eric completely taken with Ariel as she waves at him from her balcony. I love that moment. Even though it is expanded upon greatly in the live action, there is no denying that even in this original animated version, Eric is falling in love with Ariel's sense of adventure and fun and the honest, vulnerable thoughts and opinions that she is able to share with him without speaking, because it is always written clearly on her face. And it's how we are immediately able to feel close to her. And she's just, I think this comes the closest to capturing that intangible thing of just like why she means so much to people in a way that is often difficult to describe.
Yeah, you can't help but love her. And I think part of it comes from that she's very genuine in what she does. Because it's like she's never doing anything with an intention to really do harm. Or she's not really doing anything that she doesn't think is right or like she believes in. And I think that's what makes her so charming for people.
And she just feels everything to like the highest degree possible.
Yes.
Like emotion just like courses through her.
Yes. There's like full transparency. Like what the way she feels is what you are going to see. And having someone who wears their emotions so close to the surface, you can't help but love that, because you also like, I think that's part of the like inspiring devotion to others, because it's like you want to inherently sort of protect that as well. Or you see that they are doing something that maybe you are unable to do. And I think that's why so many of us see ourselves in Ariel, because she allows herself to feel all of the things that we may be feeling, but we don't show. And so that's why, because she's showing it, that's where we can say, okay, that's me. Or like, I see that. Like, I always think of Sarah Bareilles when she talks about like whenever she has like a sound mishap or whatever on stage, her go-to thing is that she sings Part of Your World with the audience. And she, and her thing is, she was like, because who doesn't love Ariel and all of her hope, singing about all of her hopes and dreams? And I'm like, that's it. That's the charismatic.
So
who doesn't love Ariel? I don't know.
I agree.
Like, because there is something in her that is all of us. We've all had that time where we wanted something and we just didn't quite know how to get it, but we still wanted it.
Yeah, and the way that she sings about it, like it is obviously the first most clearly defined I want song for a princess. And it's like, yes, Cinderella sings about a dream being a wish your heart makes, but the specificity of Ariel's wishes actually makes them more relatable. Whereas Cinderella's general singing about dreams and wishes is actually harder to connect with in the strangest way. Yeah.
Because it's like, what do I care about with that much specificity?
Right.
And I think also what you were saying about her tears, I think it's also important that like Ariel's tears, we get to see them. The other three princesses that came before them, when they're throwing themselves on the bed, their head is down. And so we're not animating tears. We get to see so much of Ariel's face and her eyes. That
when she's watching the ship,
when
she's watching the ship, and like her eyes are so wide and glassy, and just a tear falls into the water.
I mean, but even like when she is like looking through the little hole in the deck, like the little like porthole sort of thing on the ship, watching Eric dance and everything, and just seeing her eyes move around and just taking everything in. It's like we get so much through her eyes. They are so expressive in a way that we weren't seeing up until this point with our Disney princesses. And so I think that's the other part, is we fall in love with Ariel's eyes. This is the it factor.
Yeah.
Ariel has the it factor.
She does.
I mean, that's why Prince Eric falls in love with her immediately. She has the it factor. You have the thing that you can just feel. You can feel, and like that's why I can sort of like, I guess, rationalize away the sort of instantaneousness of their love, because when you meet someone who has the it factor, you cannot help but be drawn to
She's
that.
an aquatic pop star. Of course, she's an it girl.
Like it's like Ariana Grande, like shows up on a beach and saves you. It's like, Jesus, I need to be around you.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. So the third characteristic, tenacious, showing power to resist or endure. So I wanted to kind of explore the showing power to resist portion. So we shouldn't underestimate how difficult it is for both of these princesses to follow their heart's desires when they are forbidden to do so by their fathers, arguably the closest person to each of them. It takes a lot of tenacity to persist in making your dream come true when it will likely result in, at best, punishment, or at worst, estrangement from the family that you love. That being said, I think I would call Moana tenacious and Ariel strong-willed. And the interesting thing is, one official description of Moana calls her tenacious. So I feel like that switch is the thing.
I think tenacious and strong-willed are almost interchangeable, which is one of the things I found so interesting about these two characters, because like the definition of tenacious that I was working off of is a little bit different from the one that you're working off of, and it's so close to strong-willed that I'm basically doing the same characteristic twice.
Yeah, for me, I feel like in a small way, strong-willed captures that rebellious nature of Ariel just a little. It's like being tenacious with a little touch of rebellion to me is being strong-willed, but let's just go with it. Unlike what Moana discovers, as far as Ariel knows, there is no precedent for mermaids interacting with humans or experiencing life on the surface. She is role model-less. And on top of that, her father forbids her from being the first mermaid to try it, and she is truly unfazed. Take a second to think about that. Think about your dream. Imagine there isn't a single person who has done what you want to do. Now imagine that you reveal this dream to one of the people that you love the most, and they tell you it needs to stop immediately. Think about what you will need to bring out of yourself in order to keep going. Ariel also resists the tendency to just let life happen to her. When I really try to think about why Ariel is so beloved, besides that it factor, I think her tenacity is part of it as well. She sings, "Wish I could be part of that world." And then the next time she sings, she says, "Watch and you'll see. Someday I'll be." While previous princesses wished and wondered, Ariel lets us know that we are about to watch her make things happen despite the fact that her father has already forbidden her from chasing her dream. She's like, watch what's, I'm doing it. You sit back and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ability to endure. Let's just talk about her experience on land as an example of this. Our gal has had to learn to walk for the first time, how to communicate without words, and is constantly bombarded by new experiences, sensations, and people, and she just is able to keep her eyes on Eric despite it all. When I'm at a social gathering and I'm tired and I want to go home, it's literally the only thing I can think about, and I'm out of there. Ariel is experiencing the most uncomfortable and scary and high-stakes 3 days of her entire life, and all things considered, she keeps her damn cool. Not to mention the fact that she is willing to take even this half-difficult version of her dream with no voice and a life or death time limit put on it, rather than never experiencing it all. And I think that's really, really real. But of course, and I think you'll touch on this a bit more too, her tenacity can be detrimental.
Very much so.
And it for me, it lines mostly up with her involvement with Ursula. She's basically making a deal with the devil. I will note that she is aware of the risk of getting involved with her. She rejects the advances of Flotsam and Jetsam at first because she knows that Ursula is trouble. But so I know you'll get into it and I'll let you take it away. And I'm like, how can I flip this again? Because I always want to defend her. But I know that the lengths to which she takes this and endangers the people that she loves, there's not a lot of defending that. But I'm like, but you could also say that she lacks the ability to resist evil if it means getting what she wants. So she really is tenacious. But I don't know, just because it feels so wrong to sell her out. But yeah, tell us
if you don't want to sell her out, I'll sell her out here.
Yeah, sell her out. Go ahead.
Okay, so the tenacious definition that I was working off of is persistent in maintaining, adhering to, or seeking something desired. And that feels very Ariel. So tenacity, it's basically knowing what you want and stopping at nothing until you get it. And it's an admirable quality. And Ariel definitely shows this. They tend to forget the more positive side of Ariel's tenacity because we tend to focus on the details when it gets messier. And I'll talk about the problematic ones, don't get me wrong, but I want to acknowledge the more broad takeaways here, which are very good. So she's willing to give up a lot for something she wants. Her voice, her friendships, her relationship with her family, a life of comfort that she has always known. A lot of time, dreams require some sort of sacrifice or at least a willingness to let some things go. And Ariel definitely shows that in a way that other Disney princesses may not necessarily show that. She's willing to give up everything. We see her willingness to do that. And that is passion that we don't really see a whole lot in Disney characters. So I can twist it a little bit to be good there. She also doesn't let one no or even several no's deter her from chasing her dreams. Even at the end of the film, after everything that has happened, she is still on that rock dreaming and seeking the human world. She can acknowledge, I fucked up. This whole thing got fucked. I still know what I want, though.
I know.
And that's kind of beautiful to be like, I've learned a lot, but it still doesn't change what's important to me and the things that I want. That's tenacity.
I have that image written down and something we'll talk about later. That image is really that stuck with me too.
And she also doesn't give up on her friends. Like when Flounder and Ariel encounter the shark, Ariel basically gets away when Flounder is knocked out and starts falling to the ocean floor. But she sticks with him and she goes back to make sure that he is safe and the threat of the shark is nullified. So like, nice tenacity. So now let's do the problematic one.
Just say it.
Listen, we get to Daddy I Love Him pretty quickly. And I would think I would put this in here with tenacity because she's so persistent in desiring Eric that she labels it love. And listen, does love at first sight happen? Yes, it does. Is that what happens between Ariel and Eric? Maybe. But really, after only one traumatic interaction between Ariel and Eric, she is jumping right to love when speaking to her father. And this is where I think her tenacious pursuit of the human world gets superimposed onto Eric and becomes a little bit too much. He becomes like the de facto representation of the human world. And it becomes way too easy to conflate her dreams of the human world with the dreams of just a man. It's messy. And it's not the healthiest. And I think that's the downside of her tenacity, like willing to do anything. And then he becomes a symbol of it. And so then it's like willing to do anything for him. And that's where we, I think, as viewers, get bogged down in problems with Ariel.
Yes.
And also, you know, she makes a deal with the sea witch. So like, let's not forget about that part. She's so determined to get to the surface world that she is willing to give up everything. And she takes a shitty deal that asks for everything. And what's worse is like, she hardly asks any questions. Or the questions that she does ask, she gives up when she doesn't get an actual response. And I'm like, that's when her tenacity becomes desperation because she's not dedicated to getting actual ansurs here.
And it stamps out her curiosity too. Because she's not like, why do you want to go into a deal with me?
No. This is when it fully becomes desperation because she's not looking for actual answers, just the answers or lack of answers that support what she already wants. So it's like, if you're not going to answer this question, then I'm okay with that because if you answered it, it might tell me something I don't want to hear. Great. That's fine.
Because she knows she knows it's not the choice. She knows deep down.
She knows it.
She tries to resist.
So like this is an instance where that determination became blind and it led her straight into a trap. Like her tenacity is less influenced by the world around her and it sort of exists in this vacuum of naivete, especially at like this point. But like when you think about all of the things that she's trying to do, we can't also dismiss the fact that she has no knowledge of how anything else really works. She lives a pretty sheltered life. She's restricted by, you know, whatever the mer world actually is, and the things that she wants are outside of what she knows. So it is valiant to be tenacious and go after something you want, but she wants to go after something she wants that she has no understanding of whatsoever. And that's problematic because it leads her to make bad decisions.
But then watching her fail and learn is part of her charisma too. And watching her just royally F it up, you're just like,
because we can watch Ariel F it up and be like, I remember the time that I almost effed it up, but I didn't F it up that bad. And it makes you feel good about yourself.
It's true.
So, yeah, that's Ariel. She's complicated, but also, like, isn't that what we love about her?
Yeah, it is.
Like,
it is.
We love that she's messy.
And she's so much messier than the princesses who came before her. It's kind of insane. Like, she is so brand new. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Moana now.
Yeah.
So Moana's dream big princess characteristics, we have spirited, strong-willed, and fearless. So let's start with spirited. Full of energy, animation, or courage. We've got plenty of times where we see how spirited Moana can be. It starts right in the beginning with baby Moana listening to the stories, helping the sea turtle, and interacting with the ocean for the first time. She's full of life. She's full of courage and a desire to help. We also see this like in her screaming, like, we were voyagers out of the cave. She was excited about finding a way that she can help people, making the lives of others better. That feeds and energizes Moana. And it's part of the reason why she makes such a great leader for her people. And then I also have, she's very spirited in how she manages Maui, who is a literal demigod.
Very true. Mm-hmm.
She is dogged in her pursuit of getting him to fulfill his obligation to fix his mistakes, and she teases him, she matches his energy, and keeps up with him physically. She's unafraid to handle him, literally taking him by the ear. So if that isn't someone it takes someone spirited to be able to keep up with the god, someone who has the energy to do it, who is willing to try anything and everything to do it, and is brave enough to sort of look it in the face and make something happen. So I thought that is where spirited feels like a good word for her. What else you got?
What I love is at the beginning of the film, when Moana says that she will resist when she's grown up, she will resist the call of the ocean and fully lean into her role as the future chief. She gives 1,000% and nothing less. Whichever direction she decides to go in, she goes with all of her energy and all of her will. And that feels very spirited to me. She says, I'll lead the way. And then she does it also with joy. We are never going to see this girl sulk. Like and I think that to me is like the spirited is that she goes in whatever the direction is with so much feeling and so much joy. And I love when she sings, if I go, there's just no telling how far I'll go. She knows that if she starts on her journey, even she cannot predict how much she will achieve and what the journey will hold because her enthusiasm and determination are so damn powerful. I love women who are powerful even beyond their own imagining, and that's what that line really captures to me, and I love that. The only thing I'll say is that Moana is definitely spirited. So is Ariel. So is Tiana. So is Anna.
Yeah.
And I think it's what you were talking about before. I think it kind of is weird. We're divvying up these words. Some, princesses were fitting other things better, so Moana got spirited. Is she more spirited than these other princesses to the point where it defines her? I'm not 100% sure, but because hers is a very like hero's journey type thing, I can go with it.
I think that's part of what it is. I think it's also like some of the spunkiness of her is what they're
they don't want to belittle her by saying spunky. Yeah.
Like she's spunky, but like she is. She's got like an appropriate amount of fire to her. And that's like what spunk is. Like she's willing to toss it back. And I think it also sort of like accounts for some of the more modern like colloquialism things that's sort of thrown into the script for her.
Princess Anna doesn't have dream big princess words, right?
No, she doesn't.
This would be like, I think she would give Moana a little bit of a run for her money.
I think she would as well.
Yeah, interesting.
I think any modern princess post CG would, because Rapunzel has it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The next word is strong-willed. So this is very determined to do something, even if other people say it should not be done. And I think this is why I like this definition for Moana as strong-willed more than the definition I was working off of for tenacious for Ariel, because in this, the sort of idea that people say you should not do a thing, but being determined to do it anyway, in Moana's case, is much more healthy than it would be in Ariel's, because so much of what Moana is doing is more altruistic. It's more thinking for the betterment of people outside of herself. So Moana, she is adept at ignoring the naysayers. We see this in how she keeps going back to the ocean throughout her entire childhood, despite what her father says. She has a call to the sea and won't be deterred by anyone, including herself, who tries to stop her. Once the blight on the island becomes so obvious to her that it's coming from the results of Maui's actions, she knows that in order to do what is right and save her people, she has to break the rules and leave the island. She disobeys the orders of her father, the chief, knowing that she is the only one who can save them. She also never accepts Maui's attempts to get rid of her through the entirety of the film. He traps her in a cave. He throws her into the ocean repeatedly. He tries to leave her behind when going to the realm of monsters. And then After their first confrontation with Tekka, she desperately attempts to keep Maui on task until ultimately he has to leave her because he can't deter her any other way. Maui gives up on the heart of Te Fiti once the Kakamora take Hei and the heart. He tells Moana that it's hopeless, and without hesitation, Moana boards their ships, fights the shit out of them, and rescues Hei successfully. Because she's like, no, you're not going to tell me what can or cannot be done, what should or should not be done. He's like, let's just save ourselves. And she's like, nope, that's not the right thing to do. I'm going to go do the right thing, and I'll be right back. And she fucking does it, because she's Moana. And I think the most beautiful part of Moana's strong will is that she attempts to help and do what's right, even when she has no idea how to do it. She says this to Maui on her canoe, admitting that she has no idea what she's doing and she is making this all up as she goes along because she just knows it is right and it has to be done by somebody. And the ocean chose her. Later in the film, when she's thinking of giving up and returning home, she shares a similar moment with Grandma Tala when Grandma Tala says, "Why do you hesitate?" And Moana says, "I don't know." Here, when Moana is at her lowest, having given the heart back to the ocean, asking it to choose someone else, and preparing to go home, she can't bring herself to do it because it is in her very nature to follow through and do what is right. And that includes even when it isn't easy for her. And now we see her choosing to be that person who has to do something as opposed to excusing it away as being, I was chosen even though I don't know what to do. She's saying, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to do something about it. And that is strong fucking willed.
Yes, I had that same moment on the boat when she's about to give up. So she's exhausted. She's tried her best. And she's like, it's time to go home. This is it. She tells the ocean to choose someone else, as you said. And she turns around from that moment and decides to complete the trip to face Tekka. And even though this moment is spurred on by the spirit of Grandma Tala, there isn't any external force changing Moana's course. It's internal. It's her willpower.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I love the monologue when she's sailing back, when she is revising her thing that she says to Maui of like, I am Moana of Motunui. I am and she erases Maui from all of it. And she's like, I'm just going to fucking do it. That's like, that makes me cry.
Mm-hmm. I also love that Moana's I Want song is spurred on by her mother. The last thing we hear before Moana starts singing is her mother saying, sometimes who we wish we were and what we wish we could do is just not meant to be. So we get a sneak peek inside Moana's heart. We get to know the most about her after she is told that what she wants the most isn't for her. And she is still so in touch with her inner voice despite that. And it leads to her getting on the boat and doing exactly what her mother hints isn't in the cards for her. And it just doesn't really faze her at all.
Nope.
And speaking of Maui, exactly what you were saying, like she keeps him on track. But beyond that, Moana gains and loses Maui several times during her journey. And even though we often see it upset her, it never changes her determination to complete her task. She doesn't rely on anyone else to motivate her, even though she might need him and his powers and his strength. It doesn't change her mind that she is going to finish this. Like Ariel, nothing can stop Moana's compulsion towards the world outside of her own, even after her father tells her a la Triton that no one goes beyond the reef. Moana's call, however, feels more like fate. So this is just I just tried to look at it from a different perspective. Whereas Ariel's call to land is much more based in free will. Moana knows that the ocean has chosen her. And I'm not saying that fulfilling your destiny is easy at all, because it isn't. But Moana certainly has some more supernatural forces on her side that could convince her that this is possible that Ariel doesn't have.
I would agree with that until she throws the heart back, says choose another one, and then decides to go back and get it herself.
True. I guess we could also look at her accepting her role as future chief two ways. Like I said, either she's extremely strong-willed for being able to make herself accepting of and excited for her role, or you could look at it as maybe she isn't as strong-willed because she doesn't fight for the instinct she has that she is meant for something outside of the island. It is, of course, for very altruistic reasons. But regardless, it's a thing.
What do you mean? Am I going to have to fight you?
No, you don't have to fight me because, like I said, she's doing it for the right reason.
But you're like, oh, she's not strong-willed enough to be like, nope, I have to stay here on the island. Is that what you're saying?
Think about this. In this way, I cannot imagine Ariel ever accepting Triton's wish that she remain a singing mermaid princess who marries a merman and stays underwater even for one single day. She could never do it. But Moana can. She can kind of silence that part of her, whereas I don't think Ariel can. Just looking at it from a different way.
I think it's like, yeah, she can silence it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't have a strong will.
Right. Like I said, there's two ways to look at
it. She's probably using a whole lot of strong will to not fucking go to the ocean.
Right. No, that's what that's exactly what I said. But there are two sides to it. There's two sides to that where it's like you have a strong will. That's why I feel like it fits more of being spirited. Like I said, she chooses that direction of being the future chief and goes at it 100%. But to me, when I think about her strong will, it has to do with her calling. And she does. But
I don't think that Ariel would be. If we look at it that way, I don't think Ariel would be strong-willed either.
Yeah, I don't think she would she would live the life that her father wants for her for a single day.
No, she wouldn't. So like then she doesn't have a strong enough will to put her own things aside for her father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Like if we're going to look at it from that way, we got to look at it from that way.
I love Moana. I didn't get emotional when you came for Ariel. I didn't. I let you say it. I let you say it.
Well, you let me say it because you needed to say it, but you couldn't. Let's be real here. Her third characteristic is fearless, which is free from fear or brave, which I didn't really think was a good enough definition for fearless. Be like free from fear. I'm like, that's what it says. So then I redefined brave, because they were like, or brave. So defining brave, which is having or showing mental or moral strength to face danger, fear, or difficulty. And that I felt is like what we were trying to say with fearless. So the list of times she faces fears head on in this movie is astounding. When her island is dying, she keeps her cool and looks for rational solutions. They show her coconuts that are charcoal black. And she's just like, that's horrifying as a leader. What am I going to do? Okay, we're going to clear the diseased trees and we're going to start a new grove here. And everyone's okay. And then she's constantly coming up with solutions. She sneaks away from her family in order to save the island while her grandmother is literally dying. Her grandmother, her biggest advocate, her mentor and everything. She's literally looking her in the face as she's dying. And the last thing she wants to do is leave. The thing that she probably would be scared of is that she's not with her grandmother when her grandmother passes. But she has to do it anyway, and she faces it and she does it. She braves the open sea alone, not even really knowing how to sail. Hell yeah. She confronts Maui repeatedly. She jumps into a giant pit that goes on for seemingly forever into the realm of monsters, facing all kinds of crazy, scary, gnarly things. Like that one masked fucking thing that like has a creepy head.
I cannot stand that. No to that. Shit, no to that.
She looks at it right in its face as it is coming towards her. And like, thank God for that little geyser that sort of rockets him away.
It's awful.
Like, she faced it. She was like, holy shit. She fights off the Kakamora on their own damn ship, complete with poison dart arrows. And then she faces off with Tamatoa, outwitting him eventually. Like, girl is facing literal monster after monster after monster. And it's just like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And beating them. So like she's got that mental, that moral strength to face it regardless of what she's feeling. The biggest and best moment, though, is when she meets Tekka. Each time she braves a legit, like 75-foot magical lava monster, but specifically the last time after she has discovered that Tekka is actually Te Fiti, she knows that the only way to make this right is to meet Tekka in the middle and heal her. In this scene, which is easily one of the best scenes that Disney has ever made, I will say it, you can hold me to it. I don't think that she is free from fear. So this is where I feel like the word fearless doesn't really fit.
I agree with you. Mm-hmm.
The fear is there, but she is choosing to act despite of any fear she might be having. She tells the ocean to let her come to me, and the water parts. Slowly and deliberately, Moana walks out to meet Te Kā, who comes screaming toward her, ready to destroy her. And she sings softly to her and tries to remind her who she is, staring fire and death literally in the face. This could be the end of Moana if she can't get through to Te Kā, but she knows that there is no other option but to try. Don't tell me that she is free of fear in this moment. She has it, but she is using all of the mental and moral strength to face it anyway. She leads with bravery and empathy and love, and she is not thinking about herself. And this is going to be the hardest single moment for any Disney princess, in my opinion, to beat. This is like superhuman. This is like Herculean. And she has no superpowers. It is one of the most incredible freaking scenes ever. And Moana's a total badass in it because she's just like, fuck it, I might never see my parents again, but this has to be done.
I totally agree. I'll get to that in 1 second. I just
Are you going to piss on my parade right now?
No, I totally agree in that. I don't think they should have called her fearless because I think it's a good thing that she isn't. Yeah, no. But if we want to go with like she is lacking fear, sure. When we first meet baby Moana, we see her clap with glee after Grandma utters the phrase inescapable death while the other village children cry and cower in fear. So she is very clearly
one
established.
passes the fuck out.
Yeah, so she's very clearly established as lacking the same fear that lives in her peers from the get-go. But yeah, I don't see Moana as fearless. I get you, like, if you look into it, it could mean brave, but she's brave in a really beautiful way. We see her scared very often. She'll express it out loud. And then we get to watch her, like you said, move forward while being afraid, or see her coach herself into bravery. But there isn't an absence of fear in Moana, and it's one of my favorite things about her. It's what makes me feel like I can relate to her because I'm not a fearless person at all, but I have done things where I feel afraid and I try anyway, and I can relate to that. She expresses fear as she approaches the realm of the monsters, as she prepares to meet Maui for the first time, as she learns to wayfind, etc., etc. She verbally coaches herself, and I just absolutely love when she does that. She talks to herself all the time. She'll say the thing that's scaring her, and then she'll start talking herself into doing it. So while I think this makes her an amazing role model, I wouldn't say it makes her fearless. I'd say it makes her brave. So I think Disney kind of messed up with that one.
Fearless is just a tricky word.
And I think more than any other princess, she verbally expresses fear more often than any of the rest of them. And I love that because it makes her relatable. Who wouldn't be afraid in these situations? So it doesn't make her feel like this like untouchable princess. It's someone that I can want to emulate because she's touchable in some sort of human way.
Let's do design. Let's talk about Ariel's design.
All right, let's talk about it. I mean, okay, so just
the
like
most
a little
iconic design of a princess ever.
Yeah, it's like, all right, so I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but it's worth talking about. So Glenn Keane developed Ariel's appearance with Sherry Stoner serving as Ariel's live action model. Stoner also served as the model for Belle, similar to the way that Ariel has undisputedly served as the model for all Disney princesses to come after her, with the trademark flowing hair and large eyes and head, which was a marked change from the more proportional princesses that came before her. Another noted inspiration was Alyssa Milano, so Ariel feels modern and relatable, despite her slightly unrealistic figure, which we will get to. So much care was taken to accurately portray Ariel's movement underwater, with animators studying footage of astronaut Sally Ride in space in order to properly animate the movement of just Ariel's hair specifically. So we have hair choreography happening. Sherry Stoner was also captured in a pool as a reference for Ariel's swimming. Let's also talk about the wardrobe. I mean, Ariel serves too many iconic looks to count, from her mermaid design to her pink gown, her nightgown, her black and blue town dress with a bow, her glittering transformation gown, her wedding dress. People can mock the so-called superficial love for Disney princess hair and fashion, but these looks really mean something to people, as exemplified by the disappointment that Halle wasn't given an expected version of the wedding dress or the transformation dress in the live-action adaptation. The princesses who came before Ariel had one look in the case of Snow, 2 looks in the case of Aurora, and about 4 in the case of Cinderella. Ariel's design really changed the game, offering us not only a complete wardrobe, but a completely new kind of princess, one who isn't entirely human. And now that I think about it, we haven't gotten that since then, and I would love it if we did. I would like another mythological creature princess. You could also recognize the color palette of Ariel anywhere.
Anywhere.
You could recognize the palettes of all of her looks, down to that gorgeous seafoam trim on her wedding gown. If you showed me that seafoam and white, I'd be like, that's Ariel's wedding gown. The specific green of Ariel's tail was custom mixed by the Disney Paint Lab and named after her. Okay, let's talk about that detail. Yeah. Ariel is crafted with so much care and love, and you can just feel it. One thing I'll put points down for, unrealistic body standards, she's kind of the queen of this. Like, if we're being real, Ariel's torso and waist are too small to contain vital organs. And to get a little bit more specific here, that tiny waist is paired with these perfectly round and perky breasts that are just like a little bit oversized, and you can just feel that like straight men drew her in like the late 80s. And not a huge fan of what that could communicate to young girls, but just had to be mentioned. Yeah.
I mean, she's freaking iconic. Like, when you think about the look of mermaids, everyone thinks of a clamshell top and fins. Yeah. And it's because of Ariel's design, the like clamshell bra bikini top thing. It's synonymous with mermaids because it was a perfect design for her. And with regard to her costumes, you're right. She was the first princess to give us many diversified looks. And I think that's the important part, is the looks were not the same. She had constantly changing silhouettes, which couldn't necessarily be said for the princesses that came before her. We would not have Tiana's 974,000 bajillion looks that she has if Ariel hadn't done it first. Ariel opened the door for us to look at the fashion of an animated character.
Yeah, she really did. The fashion.
Okay, let's talk about design for Moana. First and most important thing to say about Moana's design is this: thank God for a realistic body type.
Yeah.
We love that her body type is based around an active lifestyle. Like, everything is proportional to what parts of your body would actually develop to do the type of work that she is doing. Moana's hair, her hairstyling, and the way it's manipulated, it is extremely realistic. When her hair is wet, when it's pushed out of her face, when it blows in the wind. And for me, my favorite moment, when she ties her hair up before going to Te
I agree.
Because that is real. That makes her so tangible to us, because it's like, oh, that's what we do. Like, sometimes her hair isn't going to be the most perfect, coiffed, whatever. It's a messy bun because it's practical. It's effective. And the amount of detail and accuracy that has been brought to Moana's character and costumes is insane. I think the story trust really benefited this film to show a global audience a glimpse of Polynesian culture that wasn't accurately represented in Disney films previously. It's so specific, to the point where she is another, I think, very, very established color palette, where like if you saw a color block, and you would be able to definitively say that is Moana. Is it as iconic as the color palette of Ariel? Probably not, because it's more muted and more realistic. But it is fitting for the story of Moana. She is someone who, unlike Ariel, Ariel is meant to stand out. Moana is meant to sort of feel like anyone. And Moana, I feel like, is a perfect encapsulation of like, yes, she can be any of us. She is also a princess. And I think her costume speaks to that as well. And her crown. Her crown.
I know.
That like coronation outfit is when she did that in the theaters, I like gasped. I was like, it's so cool. Because we never seen anything like that. She was very, very new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And then like yes, we get some slight changes in her look. So we have her classic look, her ceremonial outfit, and then her Voyager outfit at the end. But it's all based off of the same general look for her. I feel like that is completely correct for the character. And I just love that all of these variations of this outfit are made from resources from Motunui. So it's like it perfectly reflects her connection to and respect and love for her island. And it's like she carries her home with her wherever she goes. So in that way, the costuming just like deepens who she is and what she's all about. And I think that's like, if we're not going to get a wardrobe, then her signature look needs to tell us more about her and what she carries with her. And this does that perfectly.
All right, let's talk about role model, encouragement, all of that sort of stuff with Ariel.
All right. There is no denying that Ariel permanently changed the Disney princess game. We keep saying it because it must be noted. We love our gals Snow White, Aurora, and Cinderella because we love them. Their game was more keeping hope alive while quietly conforming. Ariel tells Triton, I don't care, when he seeks to control her. Snow White works as a servant to her stepmother, never attempting to run away on her own. Aurora doesn't want to leave Philip and return to the castle, but she obeys, albeit very sadly. Although Cinderella fulfills her dream of going to the ball, she does so more through wishing than doing. Ariel was the first Disney princess with a deep, larger-than-life calling, and she takes risk after risk to make her dream come true. This is the first Disney princess who really takes the hero's journey, hearing a call to adventure, facing major challenges, transforming, and in a way, fulfilling one of the steps of the journey that Joseph Campbell identifies. Becoming a master.
Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell! Who knew? Becoming a master of two worlds. Speaking of Ariel's dream, and we've touched on this, but let's just go over a little bit again. I get super frustrated when people on the internet try to distill the meaning of Ariel's story to just change yourself and give up your life for a man. The important thing here isn't Ariel's dream specifically, because first of all, hello, she is a magical, mythical creature, so we could never have the same dream as her in the first place because we don't function the same way. The key is the ferocity with which she seeks out her heart's desire. The thing Ariel wants is a substitution for whatever each of our dreams are. And she encourages us to embrace them with our whole heart and our entire will.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, as Connor noted earlier, Ariel's I Want song happens before she ever sees Eric. Her heart's desire is to be a part of the human world. Her attraction to Eric, as you said, is a part of that and gives her maybe somewhere more specific to end up once she reaches the surface. But if Ursula had offered Ariel legs before she knew Eric, I fully believe that she would have taken the deal as well. Ariel giving up her voice and life underwater is often viewed in such a negative light. But again, if we look at this less literally, we applaud people in real life who make sacrifices in order to make their dreams come true. Actors who wait tables in order to finance their career. Single parents who stay up late doing schoolwork as they earn their degree. If Ariel didn't have to give up something important to her, I don't think she would be as deeply embedded in our hearts as she is. The main challenges in the way of her achieving her dream are the sacrifices she has to make in order to be able to get to the human world in the first place. They are an essential part of her hero's journey. She is a wonderful role model in that she doesn't abandon her dream after it becomes painfully difficult. Some of us have our dreams tested, learn how painful that can be, and decide the dream isn't for us anymore, and that's okay too. But even after Ariel nearly loses everything, that same image that you cited before, she comes out on the other side, still gazing at the shoreline. And I think that's really powerful. But Ariel can be a bit reckless. I don't think she takes a moment to consider that getting involved with Ursula as a member of the royal family could put more than just her at risk. It's going to put the entire kingdom at risk. I think this is the main area where Moana has Ariel beat. The risks that Moana takes are really to protect her people and save her island, while Ariel puts her kingdom and family at more risk than they were previously. Although we can say, like you said, her achieving her dream also results in a reunification of land and sea that wouldn't have existed without her. But yes, again, like you said, it kind of happens by accident. She doesn't seek out to do that.
Yeah.
But, and I didn't write this part down, but as I'm talking about this and thinking about it, I feel like this doesn't 100% capture what else it is. And I think we talked about it before, in that we are able to see her fall down and really, really mess it up and still hold on to the thing that she wants. She doesn't she royally messes things up more than Moana, more than a lot of other princesses do. And
yeah, you could look at that as being a really good role model, because you can say to your kids, like, see this?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I guess seeing the places where she falters and really is imperfect is where the lesson is. And that's, at the end of the day, a role model has to feel attainable in some sort of way. They can't be too high on a pedestal because you're not going to bother trying to be like them. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And like in some ways, it is a lesson of like, listen, you're gonna make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And it doesn't mean that people will love you any less.
Yeah.
Like, and even when you mess up catastrophically, her dad still loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And she worked to make it right.
Yeah, she does.
Which is, I think, why I prefer the live action ending, where we don't just have Ariel stuck at a bottom of a whirlpool just dodging lightning
somebody
bolts.
said, I read something online where someone was like, yeah, Ariel's the first princess who really does something to save her prince. And I'm like, it's not like she's not part of the battle. She is. Unfortunately, Eric is the one in the animated version who does defeat the villain. But yeah, it is a hell of a lot farther along than the three princesses before her.
And, I mean, she does save him, because he would have been zappy zap exploded had Ariel not grabbed the trident and zappy zap exploded flotsam and jetsam. So she does save him.
It's true.
She saves him a couple times.
She does. And that had not been a thing before her. So you know what? Look at that.
No. Yeah, I mean, is Ariel a perfect role model? No. But like, she is a role model. The Little Mermaid's often one of the first films that kids see, and it's one of the most important and classic films for Disney. And like, I think the part of Ariel that makes her a great role model is the tenacity as a result of her curiosity. That's part of your world. It's the perfect articulation of a dream, longing for the things you want most, not from someone on a whim, but someone who is very dedicated to what they want. And the Ariel portrayed in the animated film, she's not perfect, and there are things that are not the best. Like her drive at any cost without taking a bit to think things through, her motivations, however good they may be, they're inherently oriented around herself. And she doesn't really take into consideration her environment. She doesn't think about the position she's putting Sebastian and Flounder in when she makes the deal with Ursula. She just does it and is like, I'll deal with it later, which isn't great, but is important for people to see that so that they know it's not great without having done it themselves. So it's complicated. I don't know. I can't just say that Ariel's like not a good role model, because there are really, really beautiful things. And also, like, what is a good role model?
Right.
It doesn't look any particular way. It's frustrating. But I'm going to talk about Moana now, because I can't dwell on Ariel and talk myself into something, because Moana checks all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
She's funny. She's witty. She's rebellious. She's spirited. She is full of love. She's brave and honest. She's unsure of herself. She's the real deal. I think what I love most about Moana is that she breaks so many of the molds of what the princess can be, yes, but also of what a hero can be. So often heroes are made out to be one thing or another. They either find out that they need to stay home the whole time, like Dorothy, and value their family, or that their destiny is always out there somewhere. Moana shows us that we can have both. We can be a girl who loves our island and a girl who loves the sea. We are made up of so many different, complicated, conflicting things that it's actually not helpful to try and reduce ourselves down to any one thing. And that is what the Song of the Ancestors, I Am Moana, when she's listing off all of the things that she is, when she says, "Who am I?" Because she isn't any one thing. She is all of this and more, like as she says. And I don't know, I see a lot of myself in Moana, and she's probably the princess that I would most desire to be like when I really think of it. And I think the root of the differences between Moana and Ariel probably come down to the selflessness of their actions. Moana is wholly motivated through the film by a sense of altruism and helping her people. Ariel's motivations come mostly from going after something that she wants. And not that that's a bad thing either. You can go after a thing that you want. I think Moana finds something more worthwhile because she seeks more for her people and not just for herself. And she does it in a way that, as you said, doesn't put her kingdom at risk.
Yeah, jumping right off of that. She's motivated by the desire to do the best she possibly can by her people. And to me, that feels like a very refreshing and modern goal for a princess. The way that her dream for herself to explore the ocean intertwines with her dream of the success and safety of her people teaches us that by following our own hearts and instincts and callings, we can make the world a better place. And I think that is such an important lesson for young girls specifically. Young girls are taught to look out for others above all else. But Moana teaches us that we can bring good into the world by taking care of our own dreams and needs, because that's what leads her to spreading the good around, is fulfilling what she wants first. And I think that's so important, rather than just like, especially the earliest Disney princess, like fill the world with sunshine, be good.
Yeah.
No. Moana also teaches us to listen to our inner voice. She, like I said, I just love the way she talks to herself all of the time. She's constantly reconnecting with herself and ultimately learns that the call isn't out there at all. It's inside me. Another thing I absolutely love for young women, your voice is the most important thing to listen to, not anything else on the outside. One more quote that I love. I'm everything I've learned and more.
Yeah,
Moana acknowledges that her power comes from the fact that she's made mistakes and learned from them. There's a humility to her that I think is perfectly balanced with her bravery and strong will, that those two things could feel a little bit unattainable, but because she's like, yeah, I've learned a lot through this, it makes her someone that I want to emulate as a grown adult.
So let's take a look at these.
Yeah, both of these princesses are incredible. They both have to defy their families in order to journey to where they feel they truly belong. And their journeys require them to become completely new people along the way. It's so funny. When we're recording this last night was the Emmys. And in Niecy Nash's speech, she said, I want to thank me for believing in me and doing what they said I could not do. And I'm like, that's these two. That is Ariel and Moana. Like, thank you to me. Because if I didn't push this along, like it wouldn't have happened. And I don't know. It's like, I think whenever we do these showdowns, I always try to think about, okay, what's the thing that changed the game? And I try to give credit for that. Ariel's edge here is her groundbreaking quality, not only in her story, as far as, like I said, as far as we know, she's the first mermaid to ever do what she does, but in the type of Disney princess that she served as the prototype for. Opinionated women with a dream that they take action to achieve. Moana has some help, not only from the history of her people that she discovers, but with the supernatural assistance of the ocean itself, and not to mention Maui. But her dream feels a little bit more multifaceted, a little bit more altruistic for the sake of others. So it's like, and even though there's a humility to her, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I look at the things that Moana does and I'm like, oh, I could never do that. Like, I'm not as brave as Moana. And sure, that's a role model in its own way, where you're like, wow, how does someone do that? I can't even fathom it. And then we have Ariel, who I see her make these mistakes and I'm like, that's me. So I don't know what's better. They're different.
I mean, like there are things that Moana does where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could ever do that. But then I also see that it's difficult for her to do those things. And like, she doesn't succeed at all of them right away. Like when she goes to the realm of monsters, if that one other monster hadn't eaten the other one that she got wrapped up in its tongue, she would have been toast. Like that would have been like, she didn't do anything to get out of that situation. It was just like chance happened. So like that, I'm like, oh yeah, I could, that is me. I'm like, what would I do in that situation? Well, there's nothing you can do except hope and pray that you don't die. So I don't know.
They both bring out such different emotions.
I think I have to give design to Ariel.
Yeah.
Because we would not have the expressiveness of Moana if we didn't have Ariel.
For sure, yeah.
Like, Moana's eyes wouldn't be that big if we didn't have Ariel's eyes.
Cinderella could not lead to Moana without Ariel.
No. So I think design-wise, Ariel has the edge.
Yeah.
Characteristics-wise, how well they...
It's like, okay, so it's like, is it just how well they fulfill them? Or is it also, like, I think Ariel's characteristics can be more of a detriment to her than Moana's can. But I don't know if we're looking at it that way. Is it just how well do they fulfill it?
I think it has to be both.
Oh my
Where
God.
it's like, how well do they fulfill it? And if they do, what is the net positive? I don't know if Ariel's got much... I don't know.
The net positive, it has to go to Moana. But then I'm like, I get caught up in the thing of like, why do women always have to save everybody else? Why isn't it good enough that Ariel made her dream come true for her? Like, I hate that. Enough.
She made her dream come true, but she also like endangered countless mer people in the process. And she united the two
worlds. She did
I did say that, but again, that was an accident. But it's still a net positive. Listen, if she...
Oh, this is hurting my feelings. I don't want to play anymore.
If they had said, hey, we'll let you be a human, and she's like, but you have to kill your father, do you think she would do it?
No, not that. She'd do other things, though. I don't think she would kill her father, though.
So she's not tenacious enough. Okay. My gut through this whole thing has been Moana is the winner. But then I started recording today, and I think because I came in with that prejudice, I started making way too many cases for Ariel, and I started selling myself on them. And now I'm so conflicted, and I don't like it at all.
No, I don't either.
I think role model has to go to Moana because she is just so much more three-dimensional. She's so much more complicated that is who I would want.
See, I went into this thinking this. I was like, okay, Moana's going to wipe the floor with Ariel in the role model category. But then when we started talking about the fact that how important it is to see people fall and mess up and like know that
I know I never should have said it.
But it's so because I really was like, okay, like a lot of things are.
But Moana has a fall.
No, for sure. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, a lot of things are on paper pointing to Moana. What's the thing that keeps drawing you back to Ariel? And
it's her freaking charm. I've been charmed by Ariel.
But it's also just like, it is the story of like things almost of you causing damage and figuring out, can you still have the things you want? Can you make it right? That's just like speaks to me so much. Not that princesses and heroes should be separate things, but like if we're going to talk about traditional Disney things, that to me, that quality speaks to Disney princess and Moana's quality speaks to Disney hero.
But she's a hero princess.
No, like I said, you shouldn't have to be one thing, but I don't know.
Well, wait, I'm trying to understand why can't I want my princess to help make a problem that she caused better and play an active role in it? When shit hits the fan and Trident becomes a little squirmy squirm, she doesn't really get the chance to try and fix it.
Well, but she
just
grabs
has-
the trident and like shoots it at Ursula. Like, I mean, what else could you do in that moment?
She shoots it away from Eric, but like,
it's like, okay, before Ariel, but also before Disney came into the scene as far as princesses went, a princess conjured up a very specific image. And Disney has changed the word princess forever. Like, you can't take those things away from each other. And what Disney did to the princess is break, even with those earlier princesses that we see as like overly perfect and perky, Disney, even with them, still broke the mold of what we thought a princess was. And it's going even further with Ariel, who really like messes things up and doesn't act in the interest of her kingdom. And I think that's, I don't know, looking at it from a feminist perspective, that feels so important to me. Like I said, it's just the thing of like, I'm going after the thing that just I want, and I'm going after it. Bye-bye. I think that's so important for women.
I'm not saying that that's not important for women. I think it's also just like comparing these two, it's not a one-to-one in that department because Ariel is the youngest of 7. She's not the heir apparent. She's not going to inherit. She's not expected to rule. Moana is expected to rule as a princess because she is the only child. So in terms of like having shirking royal obligations, it's much easier for Ariel to shirk them because she doesn't really have any to begin with.
Right.
Where like Moana, you could say she does shirk her royal obligations when she up and just fucking leaves her people. When they're like practicing on letting her run things. Like, I think that's what I really like about Moana is we get to see her being a ruler, like being a leader, but then we also get to see who she is outside of that when she's alone and like off at sea on the adventure.
But then it's like Grandma Tala is the one who really makes her go, and she's like, no, I'm not going to go, and she's trying to do the right thing, but that's like an outside influence that really puts her on to the journey.
Well, everyone usually has an outside influence that puts them onto the journey.
No, of course. But someone who is literally like, you have to go. And she's like, no. And Grandma Tala's like, no, literally now you have to go. And Moana wasn't going to.
I don't think we can hold that against her.
No, I don't.
Real.
I don't. I don't hold it against her. I'm just accounting for that.
Okay, this argument is now making me even more confident in Moana.
It's making me more confident in Ariel.
No.
It is.
Are you shitting me?
It's like my heart song is calling out to me, and it's like...
Are you shitting me? Your last statement was literally saying, and this is where Moana has Ariel beat.
In a category, yeah, of course. But like Ariel has her beat in other categories.
So there you said she wins the role model category. You
I don't
admitted
know. I don't know.
You already said it though in the episode.
I know, but I had that in my notes before we had the discussion.
It's on tape, baby. It's
no,
on
but now
tape.
we're discussing, and I'm allowing your ideas to influence me.
What more could you possibly... What more could you... I can articulate a bunch of things that I could possibly want more from Ariel. What more do you want from Moana?
But that's not what I'm looking for in, like, who is the Disney princess to me. Like,
well, we're not looking at
like
who
women,
is the Disney princess.
Women, yeah, you can want more from women, and they can be lacking, and that's okay.
Okay.
They can't be like... They don't have to be, like, perfect models of, like, I couldn't ask anything more from you.
But I'm nature of... The nature of the showdown is to put two against each other and claim a winner.
You're talking about imperfection, which I accept and I encourage.
Don't try and make me out to be... I was the one who brought up that it's okay for us to see imperfection.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I think that we... And
I was like, he's right.
And I do think that we have imperfection in Moana.
But not as much. She's way more unattainable to me.
What?
I'm talking about the things that she faces. I just can't... I don't know.
Okay, if we're going to talk about things that we face, Ariel is a literal mermaid that does not exist facing a giant octopus squid woman.
No, I'm
I
not
mean,
talking about the
let's
literals.
suspend
I'm not
disbelief.
talking about Tomatoa. I'm talking about about getting more literal things, like getting on a boat. I don't know how to pilot a boat and suddenly I'm halfway across the ocean. I leave my family behind. I'm a leader and I ditch my position. Like it feels so overly like brave and like genuine, and I just like sometimes I'm like, well, I could never really be that. I love watching.
I relate to that. I relate to that all the time. Like the biggest
I love
thing
watching
I
her
relate
story
to is,
unfold, but I don't feel like it's me. And the whole point of this is like dream big, princess. Like see yourself in it and realize that you can dream big in the same way.
I see myself in Moana so much more than I see myself in Ariel.
Yeah, and it's the reverse for me. I think that's where we're at. That's the problem.
You just want this to end in a stalemate and not declare a winner.
Not really.
Have we ever declared a winner? Did we declare a winner on the Snow White? Why are we doing this? Do we ever?
It's just these are just thought experiments. They're not really showdowns.
Wait, I'm declaring my winner is Moana.
My winner is Ariel.
Jesus, fuck! Why are we doing this?
I don't know.
What even was this? Oh my God. Okay. I think we just need to call it because I'm not going to be able to sell you on this now, which is so upsetting to me because you were already sold.
But I wasn't.
Jesus Christ, Connor. Why are you so good at this?
Like, I am not a chosen one. And so I just like, I don't know. To me, Disney Princess isn't the chosen one. It's someone who takes matters into their own hands.
Well, hold on. Because it's not necessarily like just chosen one. It's not like as simple as chosen one. Have you ever felt like imposter syndrome where it's like you are doing this thing, but you feel like you don't belong there? You felt that.
Yeah, and Ariel feels that too. And I relate.
Yeah, and so does that's like chosen one thing where it's like someone gives you this opportunity and you
she is
feel
literally
unworthy
chosen
of it.
by the ocean.
Yes, and she says to the ocean, you chose wrong. Do something else.
Yeah, but
she says...
Yeah, but that doesn't happen.
No,
but that doesn't happen.
The ocean literally takes the heart from her and is like, okay, fine, I'll choose somebody else.
No,
and,
like, the ocean is wiser than her and is fucking with her to get her to continue on the thing that she needs to do.
So.
I do.
I don't think so. I think... No.
Yes.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm really upset right now. Oh my God, I'm so steamed right now.
But I think though, this is like, I get it. We do a showdown to pick a winner. I get it. But I do think, this is the beauty of the Disney princess line. Like, this is the beauty of it. So
fine,
you know what?
You can be Ariel and I'll be Moana.
And honestly, if you ask me to distill it in a way that wasn't personal, it's that I feel like we get to see Ariel stumble and mess up more. And I think that's important for girls to see.
I think that we get to see Moana stumble and mess up
chase after a personal and
other things.
And chase after a dream that only has to do with her and not serving other people. That is so important.
Moana chases after a dream that only serves her. We see it happen at the end.
But she chases it for the sake of other people. She only sets out for the sake of other. Yeah, but she doesn't make it, and then she gives up.
And isn't that so important for us to see?
No,
to see her
sucks.
fail. Shut the fuck up. Okay, we're ending it now before our friendship ends. The winner is Moana and Ariel. I don't know what the point of this episode was, but you heard us get spicy, and I'm sure that's all you really wanted to hear anyway.
That is, I based off of the pairings that we offered up for everybody to vote on, I know that's why everybody chose this one, because they just wanted us to fight.
They just wanted us to fight. Jesus. Well, thank y'all for listening. If you liked what you heard, please remember to hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast. That way all of our episodes download to your device and you don't miss out on anything. And then this is the time, if you liked hearing us fight with each other, you're going to hit 5 stars and leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to the podcast so that we're seen in search results. More people can listen to us fight, all that good shit. whatever. Caroline, take it with the socials.
Yes, please follow us on social media. Social media created this episode, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. So,
Jesus. It was going so well.
I know.
It fell apart at the last second.
So as Connor mentioned, the princesses in this episode were chosen by all of you. We had some other good options in there, but y'all just wanted to see us fight. And at the end of the day, this podcast is for you. So please follow us on social media so you can tell us more of what you want to hear. It's helpful to us. So we are at Poor Unfortunate Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and TikTok. And if you want even more Poor Unfortunate Podcast in your life, and if you want to share your opinions on this episode, which I'm sure there will be a lot of them, please join our private Facebook group, the Poor Unfortunate Fam. We have over 100 members in there now. And it's a great way to discuss the episodes. It's a great way for Connor and I to put names and faces to the people who are out there listening. And it's a great community. And I know Facebook, I don't ever go on Facebook except to look at what's going on in the Poor Unfortunate Fam. And it always makes me happy. So even if you only pop on every once in a while, we would love to meet you. So please join.
And if you're looking for any merchandise, the Poor Unfortunate shop is open. You can go to poorunfortunatepodcast.com/shop, see all of our merchandise, place your order, and it comes right to your house. How convenient is that? And then, as I always say, it does take us a little bit of money to keep the podcast up and running and coming to you all. We do have a PayPal account. It is linked in the episode description and in our social media links. Truly, anything that you have to spare goes a long way for us. It just goes right back into the podcast, helping us keep it free and ad-free for the most part. You can make a one-time donation, a monthly donation. It can be $5, $10, more than that. Thank you to all of our monthly donors. Without you, we would not be here. So thank you very much for your support, and thank you for any people who are considering donating. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's the end of this thing. So we'll see you for the next one. Until then, Beluga Sevruga.